Wowzers, my hair is cool.
We're live on YouTube and Facebook. We're live on Instagram. How's everybody doing?
How's everybody doing?
So, what we got?
So, we're answering the end of the questions from last week because we did not get the chance to finish those all at the end of last week. So,
There's one of these beginning. Are you just going to read them off?
Okay. Was doing keto for 7 months, cheated, and now finding it hard to get back into it. Should I jump straight into fasting? I had initially gotten palpitations. I assume that this person has probably already done their fasting if they have gotten things back. I wouldn't suggest you start fasting. I just suggest you start eating keto again.
Yeah, I would say the same. I feel like I'm generally all for a rip the band-aid off approach. But if you were doing keto, stop doing keto, want to start doing keto again, don't just start with some crazy long fasting. Just start doing keto again. That's my take on it. Okay. What you got next?
How do we follow the smart, beautiful young lady beside you? That's a real thing that they actually said.
Crazy.
I'm going to refer my friend to follow you both. Well, thank you very much, first of all. And second of all, I am the.lady.savage on Instagram.
The.lady.savage.
My heart keeps racing and it is starting to get uncomfortable. What could I do? Any suggestions? First of all, yeah, go ahead.
That's often electrolyte related.
Yeah.
So we get your electrolytes dialed in. A good place to start would be a 2-to-1 ratio of sodium to potassium of supplemental electrolytes, and then probably about 500 milligrams of magnesium. And then kind of just check yourself. Be mindful of any things that make you anxious or make your heart race more. If you notice something specific, maybe it's like work related or kid related or spouse related, be conscious of that and just be mindful.
And maybe just watch your caffeine intake in total. A lot of people don't realize, like, oh, I'm having my morning coffee. Oh, I'm also having a pre-workout. Oh, I also have another coffee at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And those things add up. So make sure that you are keeping your eye out for how much caffeine you're actually intaking as well. I think what caused my weight gain / surplus is not a change in my calories, but extended limitations on my workout for the past 10 months plus. I'm not sure if that makes sense. Thank you so much. I think what caused the weight gain / surplus is not a change in the calories, but extended limitations on my workouts for the last 10 months plus. I'm guessing it's like
COVID.
Yeah, so having to do workouts at home and things like that, which would naturally put you in a surplus. Someone said, love the hairdo. I don't know if they were talking to you. We need to know what a person's BMR is to say how many calories is appropriate.
Yeah, so last week's video was all about figuring out starting calories. And yeah, a BMR is
a
definitely
really great bottom baseline.
Yeah, it's a great bottom baseline, but I put a lot more emphasis in how their body responds to their current caloric intake. So I would track your current caloric intake, and you can do that without knowing what your official BMR is.
Right. This one says, I am just as you, a fan of dry farm wines. However, notice that the aura and consistent higher higher heart rate, not resting heart rate, just overall heart rate is 5 to 10 beats higher, good or bad. That's going to happen with probably a lot of alcohol consumption in general. It's not due to the dry farm wines. You can notice that with wine, with a harder alcohol, things like that, you might not actually get as good sleep that night. And then you also might notice your heart rate increasing or your HRV being lower, things like that. So just keep in mind that when you do intakes alcohol, there is effects to your body, even if you don't feel drunk, even if you don't feel like you've had too much. It does affect your body, whether you want it to or not, or whether you think it does or not. So that is very normal, actually. But just keep it in mind. Notice the things that it does to your body, and decide whether it's worth it or not. I just found you guys. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. Would you go live more often? Not because you're answering our questions. Let's get to know your story.
Well, thank you. We will go. We go live every week live at 5. But we also have a ton of YouTube videos.
Yes.
So I would highly encourage you, if you want to learn more of our story, dive into those.
You're both great. How do you determine a person's protein threshold? This is like the total number one question ever asked.
Yeah, protein threshold.
Don't you have a video on it?
I do have a video on it, but I need to make a more involved video on
Yeah.
protein threshold. So I will absolutely answer your question, but I wanted to give that question the justice it deserves.
Yeah, it
And
was a really good answer.
Yeah, and I can't do it in a recap of last week's question. So okay. I will definitely answer that. Was that all that was from last week?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So let's dive into this week's questions.
Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday.
Hello.
Hope
happy
you guys
Wednesday.
have had a wonderful week.
Dana, what's up? James, how you doing?
Hello.
Tony says, hello, guys. Love your chats. I learned so much from you guys. Well, we appreciate you joining us.
Howdy from Arizona.
Howdy from Shannon.
Bailey says, is that a beard?
Not really. I'm not very good.
I love this. This is my favorite look on him. It's so cute.
I'm thinking of competing in bodybuilding. I'm 54 years young, keto for 4 years. I'm not great, I would guess. I don't know. What is the rest of that question there, Debbie? But yeah, I would definitely do it. I mean, age is just a number. It's not what defines you. So if you want to do a bodybuilding show, do a bodybuilding show.
Totally. Hey guys, Colt says.
I think Shannon's spelling out howdy in multiple increments. She said how the first time, howd the second time. The next one maybe will be howdy. Hi from Cincinnati. Keto Sasquatch. I'm helping with the new Amazon delivery station in Alexander. Where can I come get a tour of Keto Brick? Is anyone that messaged you?
What?
About coming out and check out?
Yeah, I think so on Facebook.
Maybe on Facebook?
I would need to know the actual name.
Yeah, shoot us an email, man. We'll get in touch.
You guys are awesome. I appreciate your podcast. Good luck on the move. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We're super excited about it.
Does collagen count towards protein macros? This is another really good one. I think that anything that enters your mouth should be tracked and kept up to date, just as any other thing that it gets into your mouth. So anything that you eat, your body has to do something with what you're eating. So therefore, anything that you eat should be tracked because you are still eating it. Your body still has to find something to do with it. A lot of people want to say that you can get away with net carbs too. And if you choose to track net carbs, that's fine. But realize that your body is still responding to all of the carbs, not just the net ones. And so same thing goes for collagen and things like that, even sweeteners, all of that I would track.
Hi there from LA. Hello, Joseph and Shannon. Yes. So that.
Yeah.
I was going to say I'm not great at technology, but I want to hire you as my coach. Yes. Yeah, so I use a software called Slack for data communication through messaging with all my clients, but it's super easy to set up, super user-friendly, so you definitely do not need to be a technology wizard to work with me as a coach and client. So don't let that scare you off by any means. And do you offer coaching in keto macros? Yes, I offer coaching and I do weekly macro adjustments. Any more questions over there?
Nope, not yet. Last week we were like pounding the questions. Oh, here we go,
got one
Mary.
From Keto Mary.
What do you think of 6 days a week lifting, 3 upper and 3 lower split for increasing muscle? So are you smirking right now?
No, well, I am now because you're asking me about it.
I think that's fine. It depends on where the areas are that you want to build the most muscle. A lot of people, and I'm saying this because I don't really know what you're trying to build the most. If you're really trying to build your legs, then do the legs 3 times a week. But if you're not trying to build your legs, 2 times a week is totally fine, and you're going to have less time to build your upper body if you do legs 3 times a week. But if you're looking to increase your leg size, then sure, do the 3 days a week for lower body, 3 days for upper body. I think as long as you're getting every body part in at least once a week, you're totally fine. And then increasing the amount of times you do the body parts that you want to grow the most.
This is the only thing I would caution against that, though. Like if you're doing upper body 3 days a week, for instance, and upper body, you have back, you have delts, you have biceps, you have triceps, you have chest. There's a lot of different upper body to hit. And if you're doing all of those muscle groups each time you do upper body, then it's possible that one of those muscle groups may be kind of lagging. So it would, like legs, you can have a great leg workout in 1 hour 3 times a week. It would be very hard to hit all of those upper body muscle groups as effectively as possible 3 times a week without being in there for just an unnecessary amount of time.
Right. So you would just want to do like chest and triceps together, maybe some biceps and shoulders together, and then have a back day or something like that. Break up those muscle parts so you're not doing like a full upper body day, full upper body day, full upper body day, leg day, leg day, leg day. And even splitting up the legs to doing like a quad dominant day, a hamstring and glute day, and then maybe just like a higher volume day as well. That might be a good way to break it up. But making sure to isolate those muscle groups so that you can have more building in each session.
Fantastic. You'll be hearing from me. Awesome, Debbie. I am looking forward to it. Brandon says I made it. Oh, one more over here. Marjorie says, yes, Robert's the best keto coach for bodybuilding. Whoop, whoop. Thank you, Marjorie. What you got?
I was doing 1 teaspoon of new salt, 1 teaspoon of organic magnesium salt, half a teaspoon of the real salt per gallon of water for electrolytes for a long time. And then I forgot, recently, that good for electrolytes?
So let me make sure I've got your numbers right here. 1/4 teaspoon of Redmond's is about 500 milligrams.
So that's 1,000.
You're taking in 1,000 milligrams of sodium. I don't know if you're getting sodium in elsewhere, like through the foods that you're eating. Some foods have a lot of sodium in them, some don't. But if you're only taking in 1,000 milligrams total of sodium a day, that's not really going to be enough for most people. And then I don't know how much potassium is in the new salt, but I don't feel like the potassium in new salt is like the best.
It's not the best.
What is it? Chloride?
I think
no,
so.
Not chloride.
It's
let me look it up. I'm curious.
Yeah, I used the new salt and did adjusting it just because I found some other options, but you did say all of that per every 1 gallon of water. So I'm curious, are you getting in that full gallon of water every day? Are you getting more than that in? Because you could be having all of that in each gallon, but then only getting half of it in, and that wouldn't be enough.
So this is potassium chloride. And chloride's not bad, but
it's not the most easily readily available by your body.
Each different type of potassium has like its pros and cons. Yeah. So it's good to get a full spectrum of different types of potassium, but I wouldn't get all of your potassium from, half a teaspoon or 1 teaspoon of new salt. I've been using upgraded formulas. Potassium is really good. It's a liquid potassium and it's better absorbed. And then I use the Redmond's Relight. They've got a potassium. I think there's a citrate. But yeah, I wouldn't rely too heavily on new salt as your primary and only form of potassium.
Gratitude, super people. I'm trying to build muscle, but also nursing. I'm using a sculpt scanner, and it appears my body is losing muscle and not gaining despite maintaining weight / starting to gain weight. Best way to track. I'm not sure what a sculpt scanner is.
Yeah, you do. It's that one that we tried on my body where like you put it on there.
Yeah.
But I can never have like it would miss certain body parts no matter what I did, and like you have to have a certain amount of water misted on you.
I'm not a big fan of that. Yeah. But it goes with like even like the in bodies or the ones that you hold your hands out like straight like that. It's a lot of those aren't super accurate. A lot of times that they can tell you how you are
trending.
Yeah, trending, if your muscle's going up or down, if fat's going up or down. But also you did say that you are nursing, making sure that you're eating plenty of food, plenty of fat, and eating a really good amount of protein, because you are using a lot of that for your nursing, but also you will need to bring on excess food so that you can build that muscle. I would maybe try to do a different scan, also do body measurements and take pictures, because you might be gaining weight, but you might actually be gaining muscle, and the scan is maybe just not actually scanning properly. We could never get it to the point where it was just like, this is really good. And we use the DEXA scan. We've done bodies, we've done the caliper testing, and we've done the sculpt.
If you have a partner, caliper testing is pretty easy.
Yeah.
And
it's fairly accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, fairly accurate, especially if they're doing it each time it's consistent. What if you are sensitive to salt? So everybody has an equilibrium of what their body responds best to with regard to electrolytes. You get an equilibrium between sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, and hydration, water level. Your body can reset that equilibrium point higher or lower, depending on, as long as everything else is in balance. So a lot of people will adjust one of those variables, and then they'll respond poorly because the other variables have not also been adjusted to follow suit in that equilibrium. And also, if you do adjust, it takes your body some time to reestablish that equilibrium. So you may increase salt and then hold a bunch of water weight and feel really puffy for a couple of days, but then your body will adjust and acclimate to that increase, and you may feel even better for it. So I would caution anybody to just assume that they're sensitive to more salts if they have not also tweaked the other variables, the other electrolytes, and also given their body enough time to acclimate to that increase in sodium.
Mary followed that up with, so if I split the 3 upper and only hit each of those upper muscle groups once a week, that's enough for growth.
I would do at least twice a week, honestly.
Okay. Here's the thing. You want to make sure to at least hit every body part once a week. It is important for continual growth. It is important for making sure that your whole body is growing at the same time, at the same rate, and maintaining that, where everything looks symmetrical. But on the areas that you want to grow more, you might need to work those more frequently. However, if you're doing all upper body in one day, you are not isolating, getting a pump, or growing one body part enough in that one exercise, in that one workout. So you're going to be splitting it up between 5 different body parts, where you could just isolate it to like shoulders and chest and just really work those shoulders and chest that entire workout. And then the next day you work your biceps and triceps and you really work those out, rather than trying to spread it out and not having enough time for everything and only getting 2 exercises in for each body part. It's important to make sure that you are hitting those. You're getting a good pump. You are really challenging those muscles.
I have a recommendation.
But once a week is fine. It is fine. But if it's an area that you want to grow more, what?
You get sassy over here with that finger.
If it's an area that you want to grow more, then I would suggest doing it at least twice a week.
So rather than doing upper body, lower body, upper body, lower body, upper body, lower body 6 times a week total, why don't you do push, pull, legs, push, pull, legs? That way you're still doing 6 days a week of training, but you're hitting each muscle group with a little bit more attention, a little bit more frequency.
Because she wants to do 3 leg days. Push, pull, legs, push, pull, legs.
Well, there's that too. All right. She's the boss. She's the one that's got the finger. I don't have the finger.
Yeah.
All right. What about, how do you feel about Relight so far? I like Relight a lot. A lot of people think it's super, too salty. I think it's perfect.
I do not like the taste of salt or electrolytes at all. I can definitely do that one. It's just a little bit too electrolyte for me. But
electrolyte.
That's the only one I really suggest other than the upgraded formulas, and everyone else loves it.
Tara says, planning to backpack for 4 days next week, taking only keto bricks for food. Or should I plan for more calories since I'll be hiking all day? Currently, I'm working from home, so this will be much more exercise than usual. I would recommend you getting some animal-based like meat in there. So
yeah, you're gonna need some more protein.
Yeah, I would get like a keto-friendly jerky that's not loaded in sugar and take that, or maybe like some sausage, some like cured sausage that's not gonna, need to be shelf stable or need to be refrigerated. But yeah, I would take some sausage and some keto bricks, and you'll be set.
What type of weight training do you suggest for fat loss? Fat loss. Severe DOMS, taking amino acids and protein, 1 gram per lean muscle mass.
So DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. Not to interrupt you.
That's okay. Go ahead.
It's not okay. I don't want to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Come on, baby.
It's fine.
Okay, it's fine. I totally lost my train of thought. Now you got to go.
Okay, so DOMS is something that will eventually go away, and you have to kind of keep working through it. It might take you a couple weeks to get into the rhythm of doing the exercises, and your body's getting used to all of that. You are going to have what?
Just joking.
You are going to get some muscle soreness, as you're trying to grow, or you are tearing those muscle fibers. And soreness is a good thing. The severe soreness that you're experiencing right now will start to go away over time. And then they asked, what do we suggest for fat loss? I just suggest resistance training. They said, what kind of weight training? I don't think it really matters whether you do CrossFit or powerlifting or bodybuilding or this or that or the other or just bands. I think any type of resistance training is going to be great, and as long as you're constantly pushing yourself.
Yeah, progressive overload for sure.
Yeah.
Here we go. Samantha says, for someone young with osteopenia, do you suggest a higher protein than the average person to help combat it, or maybe an equal fat to protein ratio? So there's a lot to dive into here. It kind of depends on what your overall goal is, whether it's to build muscle, lose body fat. Depends on what your metabolic rate is, your baseline caloric intake is. I would definitely make sure you're getting adequate protein, and feel free to kind of be very liberal in that protein consumption. Like, don't feel like you have to keep it short. However, if you're taking in enough protein and your body can tolerate the calories, make sure that you're taking in as many calories as possible, and then after your protein's covered, put as many fat grams as possible to make up those calories, because I don't ever really recommend a super high protein relative to fats. I recommend adequate protein and enough fat as well, because if you're under consuming fat and you're over consuming protein, that can lead to adverse effects as well. So make sure you're taking in enough protein, and then make sure you're taking in as many calories as you can tolerate well, and then make the bulk of that come from the fat once protein's been covered.
I do have a caliper. Thanks. I'll give it a try. Someone else said, someone told me that keto raises risk of diabetes too. Is that true? Okay, so actually I just talked to, I talked to OB/GYN or gynecologist or whatever, and they are actually telling their patients, especially with gestational diabetes, to actually go keto. I actually have like 2 or 3 people in my life that have been pregnant in the last year or 2 that have actually been suggested to do keto while they're pregnant because of gestational diabetes. And I know that diabetes, that is different than type 2, but they are the most closely related. But it is not true that it raises the risk of type 2 diabetes. Having carbs in your diet allows for your blood sugar to spike and drop and spike and drop and spike and drop. And when you're using ketones, you're really keeping that blood sugar, your glucose at a really stable level, and you are actually using those ketones as fuel rather than having the spikes and the dips that you would with diabetes. And my mom is actually one that does have diabetes, and she's not keto, but she definitely has transitioned to a lot more lower carb, and she has cut her medication significantly just by simply dropping a lot of the carbs. So I think increasing your fat, allowing your body to use those ketones and not the spike and the dip of all of the sugar is actually really beneficial.
Tara says, thanks. You bet, Tara. Molly B says, hey, my my favorite savages. What's up, Molly? Married to keto. Hey guys, what's up? Samantha says, build muscle. I'm 5'4", 86 pounds, 24 years old. Work out daily, 30-minute workouts, and currently I'm taking in 1650 calories, 135 protein, and 120 fat. Mainly carnivore and needing to gain weight. Advice: increase calories more. At 135 protein and your body weight being 86 pounds, it should be plenty of protein. But I would definitely increase the dietary fat and overall calories, and continue to train hard and intensely. But yeah, you could probably tolerate more calories for sure.
Yeah, that is not very many calories at all. That is like the base of what I want someone to start their cut at. So I would definitely increase that very slowly. You can do it really slowly, increase your fat a little bit. And you can do that by increasing the suet, or you can do a duck fat, or you can add, if you are a carnivore that does like butter and things like that, you can just add a little bit more of that to your food, and that will actually really easily raise your calories a little bit.
Or keto bricks, but that might be a little biased. Carl said, they interrupt you again?
Yep.
Go for it.
What is your opinion on the Ultima electrolytes? I haven't looked at the container of Ultima in a long time.
I haven't either. I want to say they changed their formula a bit, but don't quote me on that. But I've been using the Redmond Relights, the upgraded formulas. That's pretty much all I've been using. But at one point, Ultima was really good. It may still be, but I'm pretty sure they changed their formula, so I have to look into that one.
Mary said, LOL, yes, Crystal, I want 3 leg days. I'll try breaking up the upper body and see how that feels. Thanks. So welcome. You can also message me too, because I really wanted to build up my legs, and I was recently doing 3 leg days a week. And I had a split that I really, really liked. So if you want me to share that, just message me.
Just message her.
How do you track?
You keep cutting me off. I already answered that one. If I plateau on an exercise, should I deload and build weight up again? I find it difficult to increase loads while still feeling the target muscles work, eating 3,000 calories. All right, so let me dissect this. If you plateau on an exercise, should you deload and build weight up again? So a deload is not really that long period of time. Like a week is fine for a deload. So if you've plateaued, I would try and do a deload week, especially if you haven't done one for a while. Typically every 6 to 8 weeks or so is pretty good for deload. And then try and tackle it the next week after that deload. See if that gave you enough recovery time to bust through that PR or that plateau. Also, one thing that I've been doing is, rather than just continually try to, there's other ways to bust through a plateau. It's not necessarily always just total weight moved. So maybe you don't go to a higher weights, but you try and operate at that same weight for more reps, or maybe more time under tension, or maybe like a drop set or something like that. So don't feel like you have to just go up in weight in order to bust through a plateau. Do some of those other methods, and that should help you bust through that plateau.
How do you track your sodium intake?
I just measure it out, honestly. If I'm doing just like salt, 1/4 teaspoon of Redmond salt has 530 milligrams. I'll get an empty seasoning container, measure out how many milligrams of salt I want, figure out how much sodium that is, put that in the empty seasoning container, and use that throughout the course of the day until it's empty.
Okay, so we have the Hungry Heath says, I completely reversed my type 2 diabetes with keto via keto. That's amazing. Yeah. Even Sean Baker, high meat diet without keto is not optimal for building muscle mass, because Sean says you can eat like 7 pounds of meat daily just to keep from losing weight. So I've decided to add raw sheep's milk. It is really hard to do like a high protein only without a bunch of energy source and high enough calories for sure. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, if you're taking in enough calories,
yeah,
and you're taking in enough protein, and your resistance training properly, you can definitely build muscle.
Yes.
I think, was that part of the question as well, or is that a different one?
It's a different one.
What? No.
Is it sheep's milk a little a day?
A liter a day.
Oh, a liter a day.
So what are you hoping to get from the sheep's milk? The
I think the
lactose, the fats, the protein. I mean, what's the main thing in the sheep's milk that you think is going to be the contributing factor to building more muscle? I'm just curious.
Thoughts on slightly higher protein when onboarding of calories are roughly the same.
Is that specifically for DSK onboarding or just in general? Because the benefit to reestablishing a baseline at a higher fat ratio is nice because it removes a lot of the variables. So I always opt for the higher fat ratio in that regard. But then you'll be able to figure out what your protein threshold is, and then you may be at a higher protein intake.
What is your education in this area of biochemistry of ketosis? This is the one that was talking about carnivore and a liter of sheep's milk.
So I have no MDs, I have no PhDs, I have no acronyms behind my name. However, I've been doing strict keto now for 5 or 6 years. I've been bodybuilding naturally for the past 12 or 13 now, I think. I've had hundreds and hundreds of clients. I've done countless hours of research. I've done citizen scientist type stuff, podcasts, books, self-experimentation. I'm a practitioner of everything I preach. So mostly just experience, honestly.
I think a lot of, this is not related, but I think a lot of people, it's funny because I feel like a lot of people are like, you can't build muscle on this. You can't build muscle on that. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can build muscle on high carbs, but you can also build muscle on high protein. You can also build muscle on high fat. You can also lose weight on carbs. You can also lose weight on keto, and you can also lose weight on high protein. It is crazy the amount of people that are like, you can't do this. You can't do this. You cannot do this. And it's actually a proven fact in all of those areas that you 100% can. But it is finding what is most optimal for your individual body, and not just, is it going to help you gain muscle? Is it going to help you lose body fat? But is it also going to be internally the most healthy for the rest of your organs, the rest of your body, and everything that you want to do? Do you have energy? Do you feel good? It's not always about the outer layer of your body. It's definitely like deep within your health. And that's where I think that a lot of people go wrong. It's like they say you can't do these things, and it has been proven that yes, 100% you can, but everyone has to find what's most optimal for them, and then what it's doing for their true internal health, not their outer appearance.
Deep Thoughts by Crystal.
That's right.
Samantha says, thank you. You bet. Here we go. Daniel Duncan, has anyone mentioned how nice Robert's haircut is?
Aww, he does
you,
look so nice in it. I mentioned it, but not on here.
I just got a haircut a little bit ago. Should I keep the goatee?
I love it.
Let me know.
I'm the only one that matters.
What else? More questions?
Letters behind the name mean nothing if the info being
doled out is wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just do my little, not rant, but just comment on this, because I don't really get this question a lot, but I've thought about this concept a lot. So there are hundreds and hundreds of scientific literature, published studies. Many of them are not really well formulated. Many of them are. What are you spoken for?
Ben said, yes, looking good, sir.
Thanks, Ben. And a lot of these studies have been, they hold a bias, some kind of financial investing, and it can get murky. Now, it doesn't mean that all are murky. There's a lot of really, really well formulated studies, and I'm very much pro-science, obviously. My dad's a biologist. However, there are many things in life where I put a lot more emphasis in what I'm a visual person. I like to be able to see things. I like to be able to tangibly grasp things. You know, I could read papers all day long that say keto is best for muscle growth, keto is worse for muscle growth, but it's like, well, screw it. I'm just going to go do it and see how it works, see how it performs. And if I've done it and I've proven it for myself, I know without a shadow of a doubt that's what I want to do. And what's more is I've been able to replicate that in hundreds and hundreds of my clients, which is also kind of like just reaffirming to me, hey, look, I'm not this weird anomaly that it only works for me. It works for many, many people. I mean, there's the success stories on keto are countless. So for anybody to say it's not optimal, it doesn't work, you can't do it, it's like, it's just complete ignorance. So I would just encourage people to, instead of getting bogged down by what the literature shows, try it for themselves, experience it for themselves and have a more experience-based opinion on the matter as opposed to this media garnished opinion of the matter.
Yeah, a lot of people too will be like, oh, Robert and Crystal, they're like the high fat people, they'll never do carb ups, they'll never do this or that. But little do they know, maybe if they would actually listen to our stories, Robert did do carb backloading before he ever started keto. I did carb cycling when I very first started keto. We both already played with that game. We don't want to play the game. It wasn't good. It didn't work out for either one of us. We already played that card, and we know that we don't want to moving forward. So a lot of people think that we are just ignorant by saying that we're not going to do something because we've never tried it. But truly,
not ignorant, more dogmatic.
Yeah, dogmatic. That's the right word. Yeah. But we have tried it, and a lot of people don't ask the question of, have you tried this? Do you like this? Da, 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 da. It's a lot of just like, they won't do this or they only think this way. But we've done a lot of trial and error for ourselves. And I actually have a video going out pretty soon that is about all the diets that I've done and the different ways that I've changed my eating since actually being keto. So it's kind of actually pretty cool to like think I've been keto, but I've changed my way of eating so many different times. My macros change, the types of foods I'm eating are changing, and it's just really fun. So we say to go play with it. We've found what works for us. Our macros are very, very different. But we've found what works for us over the last many, many years. And so we suggest that everyone plays with it themselves, figure out what works for you and what's going to be best for your body, and make sure that your labs are coming back good, and make sure that your internal health is the best that it's ever been, and just keep rolling with that.
Yes, indeed.
Studs have a goatee.
Studs have a goatee.
What are your thoughts on meals between workouts? Protein after, example, like protein after a workout. I do like the idea of eating within a couple hours after you finish your workout. I try to eat proteins and fat after a workout.
Yeah, I try and eat within about 2 hours of training. If it's going to be longer than that, then I'll do like a fatty coffee, and that usually does pretty well for me.
What is Robert's wake-up clock? The one that with the bird sounds.
What is it called? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
I got it on Amazon. It's kind of expensive for an alarm clock. I think it was like almost $200, which is kind of crazy, but I love it. It's and
it also does waves at night.
Yeah, let me just look it up real quick.
And it'll have a sound that. Anyways, I'll let you look that up and I'll ask.
There's a lot of things that like you buy and you're super excited about, then you never use. But like this is something that I use every single day, first thing in the morning, last thing at night. I feel like that is a pretty good justification.
You would think that it would be like the first thing he thinks of is crystal, the last thing he thinks of is crystal. This is alarm clock.
Yeah.
Answer what look to gain from raw sheep's milk. Fuller 6% fat grass fed is one carb source as it is more ideal than plant carbs. I'm getting confused by this.
How many carbs is in the liter? I'm curious. How many carbs is in the liter of that milk?
Being higher quality protein and like EFAs, calories.
I don't know.
Might need your milk has calcium that is deficient on most keto diets and on keto carnivore. I've done 3 years in paleo for half of my life. That was your answer.
I'm distracted. Answer what look to gain from raw sheep's milk. Full 6% fat grass-fed is #1 carb source as it is more ideal than plant carbs because in addition to being higher quality protein and likely EFAs and calories.
And then it was down here.
Milk has calcium that is deficit on most keto diets and on keto carnivore. I've done for 3 years paleo half my life.
Unless eating bone meal.
Yeah, like if I was gonna
you read that way better than I did. I was so confused.
If I was gonna try and get some carb sources in, I would definitely opt for that, like a natural raw milk over vegetables for sure, but I haven't noticed any need to incorporate that. Like I do incorporate some dairy on occasion. I tolerate dairy pretty well. But I tend to go for dairy. Yogurt. Yeah, I tend to go for dairy that is very low in lactose. I'm not lactose intolerant or anything. I just haven't really found a benefit to it. I don't need the sugars there. But yeah, but if it's working for you, then more power to you.
Keto helped reverse my osteopenia by 14%. Also, oh boy, I'm not gonna be able to say this. Ameliorate debilitating arthritis in feet, knees, migraines, and help tremendously with brain health, strength and endurance. Keto carnivore. That is amazing, actually. Yeah. That's really, really amazing.
I can't find the alarm clock, y'all, so I'm sorry. I'm going to have to write about that on the newsletter again, but I'll find it.
Who are the top 5 scientific experts on this ketogenic diet and just in general on nutrition? I think on nutrition is going to be so different than who is on keto carnivore.
Yeah, I mean, there's several different doctors that specialize in keto within the space.
Yeah. Actually, if you look up like different speakers at KetoCon and such, you're going to find so many scientists and doctors and experts.
Yeah, one that really comes to mind. A lot of people from a medical standpoint, they have high cholesterol or just they don't know what to interpret their cholesterol numbers as after going keto. Dr. Nadir Ali is my go-to source there. So I would definitely recommend him. Dr. Bickman's really got some good stuff as well. There's just a handful
so many.
Yeah, there's more than I could rattle off.
But I would highly recommend getting access to like the KetoCon or what was Ken's
Proper Human Diet.
Yeah, the Proper Human Diet Summit. Things like that, and you can hear all of these people speak about all of these different topics that would be of interest, I'm sure.
All right, Daniel says, can you lose too much weight if you're eating to satiation and eating a decent number of calories? I started back on keto, and I've been 2,550 calories the last 3 weeks, and I've lost 4 pounds or more each week, and I'm trending to lose at least that much this week. I did start just over 400 pounds. All right, so this is a good question.
Well, first of all, congratulations.
Yeah, that's huge congratulations. Amazing. Yeah, that's awesome. So if you're losing that fast, 4 pounds a week is nothing trivial. That's a pretty good amount. And even if you are satiated, I wouldn't recommend dieting down super aggressively because that metabolism is going to catch up with you. So I would recommend doing like a minimum viable dose, so to speak, with regard to your caloric restriction. So take away as little calories as possible while still eliciting the response, the desired response, which in this case would be the weight loss. But if you're losing 4 pounds a week, week after week after week, that's great, but you don't want to do it at the expense of also cutting calories very drastically. Like, I don't know how long.
Well, they also did just start keto, and if they did just start over 400 pounds, there is going to be
water weight.
A lot of it's going to be water weight. So maybe just stay where you're at for a while rather than decreasing your calories, and see if some of that was water weight. See if you continue to lose body fat at that place or not. But you should probably start to see some of the water weight loss decreasing because you won't have as much water to lose. But it will then therefore turn into the fat loss as well.
L3D says, hey, what's up? And then looping.
I didn't know what that meant.
And then what about Corona? Not really sure. Corona, maybe? What's the question
Every
there?
word is like backwards.
Yeah, I'm a little confused.
Best meat delivery companies besides ButcherBox. Any good farms that deliver? I just bought a ton of U.S. Wellness Meats, and I'm about to do a video on it too. So we like U.S. Wellness Meats. We have not purchased from White Oak Pastures, but we've heard a lot of really great things about them. Piedmontese is really good. It's a super, super lean meat, but it's really good.
Crowd Cow. I'm a real big fan of Crowd Cow. I honestly don't ever get meat from ButcherBox.
Yeah, we don't. A lot of people do. That's like a really popular poppin' name, but
yeah, ButcherBox,
we don't really order from them.
ButcherBox has a really good affiliate program, so a lot of influencers promote ButcherBox, and they've done really good at spreading the, just awareness
Word.
of their brand. I don't know the extent to which this is true, but I know some of their meats have been sourced from New Zealand and Australia, which is great. More power to them for doing it. However, I'm trying to be as local as possible and
support our local
farmers. It just seems weird. Like, a lot of people go for grass-fed, locally sourced from a regenerative agriculture standpoint because they want to have less of an impact on the environment. So buying meat that's shipped from outside the country and imported in seems like it would kind of defeat the purpose of doing that. So I try and do it all locally.
Low-carb tortillas worth the risk of messing up keto journey? No.
I'm not a fan of low-carb tortillas. I'm not a fan of low-carb breads. I'm not a fan of that stuff. Like, I don't even crave breads anymore.
Yeah. In my personal opinion, you do whatever your little heart desires. However, when you look at the ingredients of those low-carb tortillas, are the ingredients something that you want to eat? Whether whether the carb count is great or not, look at the ingredients, and likely you will find several items in that tortilla list or the bread list that you won't want to eat. If it's a grain or something, or an oat or something like that, you likely won't want to eat it. So I would just recommend looking at the ingredient list and making sure that everything on there you want to eat. And that usually answers the question for me. And most of the time, all the time, I don't think I've ever eaten a low-carb tortilla. But every time my answer has been, no, I'm not. I don't want to. What?
It's blowing my mind. Last week we went normally these lives are like 30 minutes long, 25, 30 minutes.
I know. What happened?
We just jumped to 47 minutes. Last week is because we were drinking wine, I think. But this week, I don't know what excuse was. So let me just knock these out real quick. ButcherBox is what L3D had, and they said, my last local source grass-fed steer was a tough little cow. That's not a good thing. Hello from Egypt. Hello, how are you? Ashley says hi from San Francisco. What's up, Ashley? So do we have any questions over here?
Yeah, we do. Another question. I've lost 75 pounds on keto, but now I find myself loving carnivore diet more. How do you feel about carnivore diet compared to keto? We think it's great.
I did a video on that. It was actually a pretty involved answer. So I would point you to.
We think it's great.
Yeah, I would point you to my YouTube channel. And the title of the video is it was an AMA, an Ask Me Anything video, and I'm pretty sure the title was Keto versus Carnivore. What's the difference, or something like that? But I would encourage you to check that out. I like them both for different reasons, but I like it kind of just depends on what your goals are and what you want to do.
And also, you said it seems like you're liking the carnivore a lot more, but there's nothing wrong with being carnivore and then having a keto meal every once in a while if you decide you want to make something fun or whatnot. But the majority of the time, stay carnivore. There's nothing wrong with that at all, too. I just bought a half a cow from a local farm near me. Search around your own area. Yep, 100%. Totally agree. 52 grams of carbs in a liter.
Sheep milk, full 6% fat. I'm adding 4 scoops of whey chocolate protein powder throughout the day to it. So 52 grams of carbs is a lot by most people's standards on a ketogenic diet. If you're an athlete and you're insulin sensitive, you can probably tolerate that with no problem. Like, I could have 52 grams of carbs and still be in ketosis, especially if it's spread out throughout the day. If you're seeing a benefit, like I said, more power to you. I personally don't think that I would see a benefit from that. And I think if you're really deeply adapted, you don't really need the sugar, the carbs. But again, if it's working well for you, I mean, keep on rocking and rolling.
That's a good one.
All right. Love these. Keep going. Thank you, Shannon. What's your best advice for staying keto while out of town and you don't have your own food with you? So if I'm staying somewhere out of town, I always I'll Google nearest gyms and nearest grocery stores. So that's good. Kind of know where you're going. If you're going to be going somewhere and you need to pack your own food, obviously we take the keto bricks. And then we also take stuff like keto-friendly jerky. One of our good friends made us a bunch of this freeze-dried meats. So like ribeyes and everything is freeze-dried, so it's shelf-stable, basically like astronaut food. But that's a good option. And then like a lot of the cured sausages, they do have like some less than optimal ingredients, but like on a one-off occasion, a cured sausage. What's that one brand we've been getting from Whole Foods? The Kroger sells it too. It's like a sausage, and it doesn't need to be refrigerated. So something like that would be a really good option as well.
I can't remember the name of it. I am a ketogenic virgin. I used to see keto diets and said I'll pass. Since I heard you in a podcast, I decided to research the real keto. Thank you. Oh,
Awesome.
that's really
Makes
cool.
my day.
Yeah. There's several easy recipes for pork frying tortillas.
I'm going to have to check that out.
That is something I would be interested in. Sounds good. I will do that, brother. You have answered already. Thought on intermittent fasting and fasting coupled with keto.
So intermittent fasting is great. Extended fasting is great. I don't ever recommend extended fasting in the context of already being in a caloric deficit. It's too many stressors on the body. Intermittent fasting I do every day because I don't eat my first meal until a little bit later, which I think is totally fine. As long as you're getting enough calories and you're not down regulating your metabolism, you should be good.
Calories in versus calories out when cutting. Counting calories or eating until fully satiated, struggling with this.
I really want to make that the question for next week if we can.
Let me just screenshot that.
And the reason I want to make that the question for next week is because it's a great question. And you also posted, a lot of people say don't track calories when cutting, just eat until full. All right, so that's going to be our question for next week. I'm going to deep dive into that. So sorry to make you wait until next week, but that's a great question.
A lot of people say tracking calories when cutting, just eat. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, I'm going to use your question for next week. What about bodybuilders and MMA people to follow that are doing keto? There's honestly not a whole lot of legitimate ketogenic bodybuilders. I'm a natural ketogenic bodybuilder. I went pro.
A lot of them weren't natural in the first place.
Yeah. I went pro in 2017. I think the bodybuilding community is going to be the last to adopt keto because they're so stubborn. So I'm trying to spread the word. I'm trying to get my word out there.
We do what we do.
Yeah. What's up, the Muscle Maven? I travel 200 days a year eating keto. That's a lot of traveling.
Yeah, that is a lot of traveling. Are you ready to rumble?
Yep. Don't know you guys, but good luck on your channel. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right, y'all. Getting ready to rumble. We got the question for next week. All about counting calories, not counting calories, calories in, calories out. Counting calories or just eating until satiety. So, love y'all. See you next week. Take care and toodaloo.